Okay, in a minute. One 7:34. 1:7:34. One. Darshan also. One 7:34. Okay. Okay. 1:7. Janani. Vande Rupa Sanatano Radhigau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I assume you can hear me. Okay. Let me continue. Shri Parikshit Uvacha. Evam Sambhashya Janani Abhivandyasya Sadaram Vana Bhogyet Suralakshya Vohin Yokto Kyabhigyaya. Parikshit said, after speaking in this way, Krishna offered his mother proper respects. Then the very expert Rohini sensed that Krishna wanted some food to take with him to the forest. While in the forest, one generally eats such simple things as rice mixed with yogurt. By observing the way Krishna moved his lotus hands and by other signs of his body language, Rohini, smart and practical, discerned that Krishna was thinking about such forest food. She quickly reasoned that since the artificial mother Yashoda could not provide Krishna's meal or even say anything, Krishna might become suspicious if he were to ask food from Yashoda and she failed to respond. To avoid this potential disaster, Rohini moved into action before Krishna could say anything about being hungry. Shri Rohini Vachi, Bho Vatsattava Matadya Tannidrajhikya Chintaya Twadeka Putra Dustheva Taddalam Bahuvartaya. Shri Rohini said, dear child, your mother has no other son but you. She was so worried today by your extra sleeping that she now feels a bit ill. So I think we have talked enough. Krishna talks to Radha. Agrato nisrata gastvam gopams chanu saradrutam mayopaskripya sadbhogyam vanam madhye praheshyate. The cows and the boys tending them have already gone ahead. You should quickly follow them. I will prepare some nice refreshments for you and send them to you in the forest. Shri Parikshit Vacha, Tatha Vadanti Susnigdham, Rohineem Chabhivajyasa, Sthitam Karatale Matur, Navanitam Shanair Hasan, Chaurye Naiva Samadaya, Nijajeshtam Samahvayan, Aprapya Gre, Gavam Sange, Gatam Na Bhuje, Grini. Shri Parikshit said, Krishna offered his respects to Rohini, who had spoken to him with such love. Then with a smile on his face, like a thief who stealthily took from he stealthily took from Mother Yashoda's hand the butter she was holding. He then left to join his older brother, calling out his name. Generous Krishna did not eat this butter before reaching the cow. It seems from Krishna's cooperative response that he trusted Rohini's word as much as Mother Yashoda. He told Rohini, I bow down to your feet, and offered her obeisances. Vishwakarma knew that Krishna loves fresh butter and that Mother Yashoda therefore often has some in her hand ready to give to him. Vishwakarma had fashioned this image of Yashoda accordingly. While Krishna was occupied with Rohini and Yashoda, Balaram, thinking that Krishna was back to normal, had already gone ahead. He also had a confidential reason for leaving Krishna behind, namely to leave Krishna free to meet alone with the gopis. This is all straight from Digdarshini or Sanatana Goswami. Bhogyam madhyah nikam chatu patavena swamataro samprarthya purato gatva gopi sambhashya narmabhi. In expertly pleasing words, Krishna had asked his two mothers to make lunch for him. Then he had set off, and on the way he met some of the gopis and he enjoyed some joking talks. Gopi Chandravali Yadya. He met some of the gopis like Chandravali Devi. Krishna's plaintive way of begging to be fed was devised to give his mothers the greatest pleasure. All of Krishna's dealings in Braja were meant to give pleasure to his devotees. Rundhano Venunadirga Vartamanam Sahalibhi Radhikam Agrato Labdva Sanarmas Mitamabravi. As he continued walking, playing his flute to keep the cows from wandering off, he then came upon Sri Radhika with her girlfriends and spoke to her with witty comments and charming smiles. The first group of gopis Krishna met was headed by Chandravali. After talking a while with them, Krishna went on further and met Sri Radha and her girlfriends. This means that earlier, when the gopis had left their houses, they had dispersed themselves in various groups on the road to see Krishna going to the forest. The ladies of Mathura speak of the young gopis who go out to see Krishna. Pratar vrajat vrajata avishatascha sayam gobhis samam kvanayato sin nishamya venu nirgatya turnama bala pathibhuri punya pashyanti sasmita mukham sadayavalokam. Hearing Krishna playing his flute as he leaves Braja in the morning with his cows or returns with them at sunset, those young girls quickly come out of their houses to see him. They must have performed many pious activities to be able to see him as he walks on the road, his smiling face mercifully glancing upon them. Shri Nanda Nandana Vacha Praneshwari Rahasaptam Bhaktam Mekakinam Chamam Sambhashase Katham Nadya Tatkim Vritta Simanini. Shri Nanda Nandana said, O mistress of my soul, why don't you speak to me, your devotee, whom you have now met in a secret place? What are you so busy with, my proud lady? Aparadham maya kimte nunam gyatam mahotvaya sarvagye dyattana swapnam vrittam tannam mamakhilam. How did I offend you? O omniscient one, you must know everything that happened today in my dream. There was no other evident reason for Srimati Radharani being angry at him. So Krishna concluded, she must have been upset because of his dream that morning. She must have had the mystic power of knowing everything, past, present, and future, including what he had dreamed, what he had revealed to his mother about his dream. and what he was going to say to Sri Radha about it. Krishna began presenting these thoughts to Srimati Radharani, hoping to divert her from her anger. He was not put off by her standing silent like a statue, because in the past, his girlfriends in Vraja had acted like this many times when the excessive ecstasy of love for him had left them stunned. Where am I? Here. They often reacted this way to his joking words when shocked by the strength of his wit. And in his present unusual mood, he could easily imagine that Sri Radha was refusing to speak to him because she was angry. Ladies are overwhelmed in now. Tvam vihayanyato gatva vivaha bahava krita tasam kshitipaputrinam udyatanam vritim prati putra pautradayas tatra janita duravartina. I left you and went elsewhere. In that distant place, I married many princesses who had been preparing to end their lives, and I fathered sons, grandsons, and great-grandsons. Anyato Mathurado Dure Dwarakado Vartinamaya. In that distant place, I went elsewhere. Elsewhere refers to Mathura and other places. In that distant place refers to Dwaraka and other places. This commentary is from Gopi Brahman Prabhu himself. Krishna rescued the 16,000 princesses kidnapped by Bhaumasura, but they could not simply thank Krishna and return to their families. Since they had already stayed in a man's house, no respectable princess would ever marry them. Only Krishna could save them from a shame they could otherwise end only by suicide, and only he could marry them all. Astu tavad idanim tad gamyate tvaraya vane santoshade pradoshedhyam maya tvam modayishyase. Anyway, right now, I have to go to the forest. Tonight at dusk, on the store of satisfaction, you will enjoy with me. Shri Parikshidovacha, Itham Sapushpa Vikshepam, Vadan Drishtva Disho Khila, Tam Sachumbana Malingya, Gogopai Sangato Grataha. Shri Parikshit continued, having said this, Krishna threw a handful of flowers at Sri Radha, looked all around, then embraced and kissed her. He then went ahead to meet the cows and cowherd boys. Adrishtapurvam Rajaveshamadbhutam Mahamanodhyam Murali Ravanvutam Yadanvam Bhoot Sneha Bharena Devaki Tadaiva Vriddha Pyajani Smutastani. As Devaki saw for the first time how wonderfully and all attractively Krishna was dressed for Vraja and how he was playing his flute, milk started flowing from her breasts in great love, even though she was no longer young. Krishna has special ecstatic feelings for his devotees as described in the previous several verses. This is the ultimate greatness of God. Reciprocally, Krishna's devotees have incomparable affection for him, which they each show in their own individual ways. The last two sentences are Gopi Brahman. Krishna sees the ocean and Dwaraka city. Rukmini Jambavat Yadya Puranuthena Karhichit Mahapremna Gata Moham Dhairya Hanya Patan Shitav. Dhairya Hanya Patan Shitav. Rukmini, Jambavati and other queens, bewildered by an intensity of love they had never felt before, lost their composure, fainted and fell to the ground. Sahaja Mahadhairya Gambhiryadi Yukta Shri Rukminyadayah Kama Vishesha Udayena Amukhya Nityaha. Naturally, Sri Rukmini and others, they're endowed with great gravity, depth of thought, patience, and so on. Despite this, they were especially bewildered in conjugal love. Krishna's queens were all noble ladies, careful to behave seriously in public. But the exceptional attraction they, at this moment, felt for Krishna defeated their gravity. They were accustomed to seeing Krishna dressed as a prince, not a cowherd. Now they could no longer control their emotions and finally could not even retain their outward consciousness. Vridha chamatta sahasatya bhamaya kamasya vega anukurvati muhu alinganam chumbanam apyadhavat dhartum harim bahu yugam prasadi. Even old Padmavati became intoxicated. Driven by lust, she as well as Satyabhama acted out, embracing and kissing Krishna again and again, and ran after him, arms extended, to try to catch him. Puratadharthanubhavadivasau Kathanchiradhitya Sutavalambhyam Shamam Samam Pragyam Varodha Vena Balad Vikrishyavar Rodha Dikte Dve. Kalindi, the daughter of the sun god, had seen Krishna like this before. Being very intelligent, she somehow calmed herself down. She and Uddhava grabbed Satyabhama and Padmavati and dragged them back. Queen Kalindi in Dwaraka and the river Yamuna in Vrindavan are one and the same person. Thus she alone among the Dwaraka queens had known Krishna during his cowherding days. This is at least the external reason why Kalindi in this situation was able to stay sober. But the fact is that she also had to struggle to remain calm just to help Brahma carry out his plan for dispelling Krishna's bewilderment. Kalindi caught hold of Satyabhama and Uddhava caught Padmavati. Govinda Deva Vanacharayanga Gatah Purastad Udhadim Niriksha Tam Manyamano Yamana Pramoda Sakhim Viharaya Samaju Bhava. Meanwhile, Lord Govinda went ahead, tending his cows. When he saw the ocean before him, he thought it was the Yamuna. And with delight, he called his friends to come play in the river. The scene now focuses again on Krishna. The Arabian Sea rings Dwaraka like a fortress moat, and its dark blue color made Krishna think it was the river Yamuna. So he called his friends, Sridama Adi Gopan, the Gopas headed by Sridama. Balaram explains the situation. Gatah Kutra Vayasyastha Sridaman Subalarjana Sarve Bhavanto Dhavanto Vege Nayantu Harshataha. My dear friends, where have you gone? O Sridama, Subala, Arjuna, happily come here quickly. Krishnayam Payayitvaga Viharama Yatha Sukham Madhuramala Shitambu Vahinyam Avagahyacha. We can let our cows drink water from this river Yamuna, and we can play as much as we want, swimming in her gently flowing, clear, cool water. Evam agre sarangobhir ambudher nikatam gataha mahakallola maladhi kolahalavatochutaha. Thus Lord Achyuta went on further with the cows and neared the sea, where mighty roaring waves came one after another. Sarvato vikshatattire prakatam swam mahapuri alakshit kimidam kwaham kohamityaha vismitaha. When Krishna looked around the seacoast, he noticed his own great city visible in the distance. Krishna was surprised and he exclaimed, "What is this? Where am I? Who am I?" Coming out of the forest and beholding much clearly the vast water before him, Krishna saw the crashing waves and to the side at a distance a huge city. Addressing no one in particular, Krishna reacted spontaneously with these questions. What is the ocean in front of me? Is there such an ocean in Vrajabhumi? Or am I somewhere else? But how can the son of Nanda Maharaj be somewhere else? Or am I someone else? If I'm supposed to be a great prince, then why am I so unsuitably dressed? Ityevam sat chamatkaram muhurjalpan maharnava purim chalo chayan prokta shrimat sankarshanena. Astonished, he spoke these words again and again as he gazed at the vast ocean and the city. Then Lord Balaram told him something. Krishna was hesitant to decide whether what he was seeing was real or not. His elder brother had to settle the question for him. Baladeva Atmanam manasandhehi Vaikunteshwara matprabho avatirnosi bhubhara haraya gyapito marai. Baladev said, "O my master, Lord of Vaikuntha, please consider who you are. You were asked by the demigods to descend to remove the burden of the earth. Dushtan samharata kshishtan pratipalaya samprati yagyam paitras vase yasya dharmarajasya santanu. Now please destroy the wicked and protect everyone else. Your cousin Dharmaraj, King Yudhishthira, has undertaken a sacrifice. Please to see to getting it performed." Balaram here requests Krishna to think of himself as the Lord of Vaikuntha and of Balaram as a sage, Anantasesh. Even though Krishna is indeed the son of Nanda Maharaj, he should now carry out the mission for which he and Balaram have descended from Vaikuntha. Of course, they had actually descended from Goloka Vrindavan, but Goloka and Vaikuntha are in many respects non-different. When Krishna descends to this world, he brings within himself all of his personal expansions, including the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, when he comes from Goloka, he is simultaneously coming from Vaikuntha. Krishna's main purpose for descending is to distribute the special kind of pure love found only at his own lotus feet by playing his pastimes in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Dwaraka is not the suitable place for this purpose. But if Krishna turns his mind to this main objective, Balaram thinks he is likely to become completely unsettled again. Therefore, Balaram calls Krishna Vaikuntheshwara instead of Golokeshwara, and tactfully points out that Krishna's current task is to relieve the earth of its burden by destroying evildoers and protecting law-abiding citizens. Most immediately, Yudhishthira needs Krishna's support for the Rajasuya Yajna. After achieving these secondary aims, Balaram implies Krishna will be free to absorb himself in his first aim without impediments. यद्यपि श्री गोलोकदेव गोलोक एव अवतीर्णो तथापि तस्य बहुधा वैकुंठ. This is all straight taken from Sri Sanatana Goswami's Digdarshini commentary. Pratishthitas Vayaivasau Chakravarti Yudhishthirah Anushalvadidushtana Vibheti Varavikrama. We have established Yudhishthira as emperor, but he is intimidated by Shalva's younger brother and by other exceedingly powerful villains. Yudhishthira will not dare face the challenge of staging the Rajasuya sacrifice unless Krishna encourages him. And several opponents like King Anushalva first need to be removed. Svam vina yajne asau na shakta. Without you, Yudhishthira is incapable of performing this sacrifice. Tatra gatvata hantu yatasva yadhuvissaha tavaiva vairatastehi tavakan pidayantitam. Please therefore go to Yudhishthira and with the help of the Yadus try to kill his enemies who are persecuting your devotees out of hatred for you. These words are aimed at inducing Krishna to put aside the exalted sweet love, a sweet taste of intimate love, and assume instead the contrary mood of militant anger, Raudra Rasa. To stir up Krishna's fury, Balaram suggests here that without the help of the Yadus, Krishna might be unfit to kill these enemies. These enemies are Krishna's, since Yudhishthira does not consider anyone an enemy. Parikshituvacha evam rasantaram nitvanujam swasthayitum vachah yaduktam Balaramena shrutva bhavantaram gatah. Parikshit said, Balaram spoke these words to change his younger brother's ecstatic mood and bring him back to normal. Indeed, upon hearing what Balaram said, Krishna did change his mood. Before hearing these words, Krishna was swimming in the prema rasa of the most confidential loving dealings, but now he was in a heroic mood. Idanim cha vira rasama bhajan, into a heroic mood. Thus, in the next verse, Parikshita referred to him as Bhagavan. Atra parashlokastham Bhagavan iti kartrapadam jeyam. Jagada Bhagavan kruddho bhrata shalvanujatayah kete varaka hantavya gatvai kenam mayadhuna. The personality of God grew angry and said, brother, who are those useless creatures? Shalva's younger brother and those like him. I will go by myself and kill them at once. Apitu varakeshu apina ganyanta ityartha. Useless creatures means they cannot even be counted as a creature. The lowest of the low. Bhavan pratyetu satyam ne sapratigyam idam vachaha itham prasanga sangatya mugdha bhavam jahau Prabhu. Trust these words of mine. They give my firm promise. In this way, the circumstances of the moment made Lord Krishna forget his confusion. Krishna's bewilderment was in fact his complete rapture in the highest prema rasa, but for now, he had to refrain from those ecstasies. Parito muhuralokya Srimad Dwara Vatishwaram Sri Yadavendramatmanam Pratyabhigyata Vamstada. Looking around again, Krishna remembered that he was the master of Sri Dwaraka, the divine king of the Yadavas. Prasadabhyantare suttam sasmaratha kare sthitam vamshim swasyagrajasyapi vanyavesham cha drishtava. He remembered that he had been sleeping inside the palace. Then he saw the flute in his hand and himself and his older brother dressed like forest dwellers. Purya bahih prayanena gopalanam avekshya vismayam samshayam chapto jahasa kriti bhavali. Krishna perceived he had gone out of the city to tend cows, and this filled him with surprise and doubt. He laughed as he pondered it. Now aware of himself as the prince of Dwaraka, Krishna had to reckon with the obvious facts that he and Balaram were dressed like cowherd boys and tending cows along the shore of the ocean. He wondered why they were acting like this and whether these things were actually happening or were some sort of illusion. He laughed at his own inability to figure this out and at his long lapse from normal consciousness. Garuda brings the two brothers back to Dwaraka. Tato haladharas mitva tadiyah hridayam gamaha sarvam brahma kratam tasya kathayat tat sahetukam. His brother Balaram understood what Krishna was thinking. Smiling, Balaram explained that this was all Brahma's arrangement and told Krishna the reasons why it had to be done. Having ascertained from Krishna's laughter that Krishna had finally calmed down, Balaram was able to explain to him how Brahma had planned the scheme to bring him back to normal and how Garuda and the others had carried out the plan. ततो ह्रीण इव ज्येष्ठं मुखं पश्यन् स्मितं श्रितः रामेणोद्वर्त्य तत्राद्धौ स्नापितो धूलिधूसरः. Krishna then looked at his brother's face and smiled as if embarrassed. And since Krishna's body was covered with dust, Balaram wiped him clean and bathed him in the sea. As indicated by the word Iva, Krishna had no reason to be embarrassed. His behavior all along had been totally praiseworthy. In Krishna's own words to Uddhava, Yugapsa Hrira Karmasu, real modesty means being disgusted with improper acts. If one has indulged in illicit acts, one should feel shame and condemn one's own wrong behavior. But Krishna felt no shame. He simply looked at Balaram and smiled. Balaram took care to wipe the dust off Krishna. Dust most likely picked up while Krishna was herding the cows in the manufactured Vrindavan, or else earlier while Krishna was rolling around inside the palace in his uncontrollable ecstasy. तदानीमेव संप्राप्तं भगवद्भावकोविदम् आरुह्य लक्षितस्तार्क्ष्यं निजप्रासादमागतः. At that moment, Garuda arrived. Because he understood the Lord's moods perfectly well, Krishna mounted him and returned unseen to his palace. Sarvajnenodhavenath Devaki Rukmini Mukha Prabodhyantah Pure Devyo Bhagavat Parshvamapitaha. The all-knowing Uddhava informed Devaki, Rukmini and the others what was happening. He brought all the queens back to the palace to Lord Krishna's side. Uddhava arranged for the gossip monger Padmavati to attend to some business elsewhere because she would be out of place in the confidential discussions about to begin. Mata Devaki Putram Ashirbhir Abhinanditam Bhoga Sampadana Yasya Kala Vigya Drutam Gata. Mother Devaki greeted her son with blessings. Well aware of what time it was, she quickly went to prepare his meal. Devaki is excusing herself from the company of Krishna's queens, left Krishna at liberty to discuss with them frankly the matter, which is the essential message of this chapter. The supreme devotion of the young gopis of Braja. Krishna felt too much filial reverence for his mother to talk about this openly in her presence. She knew it was time to cook for Krishna. And on a deeper level, she also understood that now she ought to take her leave. This was straight from Sri Sanatana Goswami. The ladies glorify the gopis of Braja. Tambhadyanta Rita Satyo Devyo Tishtan Prabhu Priya Satyabhama Natatragar Ram Krishno Prachada Krishno Prichaduddhavam. The beloved queens of the Lord stayed hidden behind objects such as columns, not approaching her. But Satyabhama had not come there with the others. So Krishna asked about her from Uddhava. She Haridasa Uvacha. She Haridaso Vacha. Vrindavane Yada Jato Vijayo Raivatarchite. Prabhu Sadatanam Bhavam Abuddha Brahmakam Param. Kam Pyalokya Devi Bhi Saha Tatraiva Durataha. Tani Niliya Durbuddhe Uche Padmavati Khala. The Lord's servant Uddhava replied, and you took your glorious excursion to Vrindavan, which is embraced by Raivata hill. Your special mood might have bewildered the unintelligent, but your queens were able to perceive it. They therefore hid themselves, watching from a distance. Then the spiteful, weak-minded Padmavati addressed them. Uddhava is sometimes called Haridas. Shukadeva Goswami therefore says, Saradvana Giridronin Dikshan Kusumitan Druman Krishnam Samsmara Yan Reme Haridaso Prajaukasam. seeing the rivers, forests, mountains, valleys, and flowering trees of Braja, Haridas Uddhava enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Lord Krishna. देवक्यारे पुण्य हीने रे रे रुक्मिणी दुर्भगे सत्यभामे वरे हंत जाम्बवत्यादयो वरा पश्यतेदं मितोर्वाक्स्वम् अभिमानं विमुञ्चत आभिरीणां हि दास्याय तपस्यां कुरुतोत्तमाम्. O Devaki, devoid of pious credits, O unfortunate Rukmini, wretched Satyabhama, Jambavati, and you other miserable women, look here, from now on you should give up your pride and undergo the greatest penances to become servants of those Abhira nomad women. Queens of Dwaraka may have won Krishna's hand in marriage, but they should not think that they have a stronger hold on his heart than the Vrajagopi. The Abhiras are a degraded class of nomads, whereas the cowherds of Nanda are respectable twice-born Vaishyas. But because Nanda's community is engaged in the same cowherding business as the outcast nomads, and also just out of spite, Padmavati calls Nanda's daughters Abhiras. Shukadeva Goswami mentions the Abhira tribe in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kirata Punandra Pulinda Pukasha, Abhira Kanka Yavana Khasadaya, Yenecha Papa Yadapashri Ashraya, Shudhyanti Dasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Kiratas, Punas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pukashas, Abhiras, Kankas, Yavanas, members of the Khasar race, and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, for he is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Durbuddhi vriddhaya paishunyena abhirinam. That Padmavati, Kamsa's mother, she was senile and unintelligent. And out of her malice, she called them Abhiras. Taddurvacho nishamyado devakyoktam abhigyaya samasta jagadadhara bhavadadhara bhutaya ascharyam matrakim murkhe purva janmani yattapa samam shri vasudevena mayakari sutaya tat atoyam mavayo prapta putratam varadeshwaraha asmin nanda yashodabhyam bhakti samprashta vidhim. Uddhava told Krishna, the wise Devaki shelters you, who shelters the entire world. When she heard those wicked words, she said, foolish woman, what is unusual here? Shri Vasudeva and I, in our previous lives, underwent austerities to get the Lord as our son, and therefore the Lord, the bestower of all boons, accepted that role. But Nanda and Yashoda prayed to Lord Brahma for pure devotion. Sri Krishna surely has special affection for his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, as well as Nanda and Yashoda. But Nanda and Yashoda are more intimately connected with Krishna. Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous lives as Sutapa and Krishni strove to attain a parental relationship with God. When they finally achieved the Supreme Lord's audience after strict austerities for many years, they submitted to him their desire and the Lord agreed to fulfill it. As the Lord later told Devaki, Tada vam paritushtoham amuna vapushanaghe tapasa shraddhaya nityam bhaktya cha hridi bhavita radurasam varadarat yuvayo kamaditsaya briyatam vara ityukte adrsho vam datasutta. After 12,000 celestial years, in which you constantly thought of me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion, and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benediction, I appeared in the same form as Krishna to ask you, to take from me the benediction you desire. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me. Krishna is Bharata Ishvara, the best of those who give benedictions. By granting a single boon, he was able to bless Krishna and Sutapa to become his parents not only once, but 3 times. But to Nanda and Yashoda, whose love for him was even more pure, Krishna bestowed a greater reward. In the rasa of parental love, they enjoy the topmost perfection of Prema Bhakti, found only within the realm of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nanda, in the role of the Vasudrona, expressed the unconditional purity of his love when he prayed to Brahma. Jatayor now Mahadeve Bhuvi Vishweshware Harao Bhakti Syat Paramaloko Yayanjo Durgatim Tare. Please permit us to be born on the planet Earth so that after our appearance, the Supreme Lord, the personality of God, is the Supreme Controller and Master of all planets, will also appear and spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life. Those born in this material world may very easily be delivered from miserable material existence by accepting devotional service. Nanda was concerned for the upliftment of the unhappy conditioned souls. He wanted Krishna to exhibit his childhood pastimes so that the world would hear and recite them and regain the taste of love of God. Okay. This is the supreme exalted nature of Nanda Maharaj's ecstatic love for the Lord. Pure ecstatic love for the Lord always takes into consideration the benefit of all the suffering souls. तस्यैतद् भक्तवर्यस्य तादृशेन वरेण तौ आवाभ्याम् अपि माहात्म्यं प्राप्तौ स परिवारकौ. By the blessings of that foremost devotee of the Lord, Nanda and Yashoda, along with their whole household, became greater than us. In Devaki's opinion, Brahma had the power to make Nanda and Yashoda the best parents of the Lord because Brahma himself was the best of all the Lord's devotees. In the words of Shukadeva Goswami in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, Sa Adidevo Jagatam Paro Guru. Brahma is the first of gods, the supreme spiritual master of all the worlds. There is another reading that Sri Sanatana Goswami is referring to here. Bhajatam Paro, Sa Adidevo Bhajatam Paro, which means that first of gods, Brahma, he is the supreme spiritual master of those who engage in devotional service. The meaning is anyway the same. Devaki indicates by our comparison of blessings that the Supreme Lord so greatly empowers devotees engaged in the service that the benedictions they give can be even more effective than his own. Tabhyam sneham dharenasya palanam tattadihitam atosyai tadrisho bhavas ayo yukto hi me priyaha. Because of their exceptional love, they were allowed to raise the Lord as their child and cherish his many wonderful activities. Therefore, his special attitude towards them is fitting and very much pleasing to me. Nanda and Yashoda deserved the best reciprocation from Krishna. Had Krishna not dealt with them in the most intimate way, he would have been guilty of ingratitude. अथ श्री रुक्मिणी देवी सहर्षम idamabravi yadvakya shravanat sarva bhaktanam prema vardhate. Uddhava continued. Then Shri Rukmini Devi brightly spoke. By hearing her words, all the devotees increased in love for Krishna. By hearing praise of devotees greater than oneself, like the praise about to be spoken by Queen Rukmini, hearing praise of devotees greater than oneself, like the praise about to be spoken by Queen Rukmini, does not cause envy or discouragement for pure Vaishnavas. Rather, it increases their eagerness to please the Lord by their own service. 3 verses from text 82. Ya bhartrit vihaya sarvam lokadvayarthan anapekshamaana rasadi vistadrashya vibhramaistat ritya bhajam statritamenam artha. Rukmini said, those women gave up everything, their husbands, sons, and all else they had, disregarding their own fortune in this world and the next. Enduring distress, they worshipped the Lord in their own way, enchanting him in the rasa dance and other pastimes. Atohi yano bahusadhanottamam sadhyasya krityasya bhava yogatah mahaprabho prema vishesha palibhi satsadhana dhyana padatkumagatah. We can hope to achieve the Supreme Personality of God is only by following many rigorous spiritual practices, and we can meditate upon Him only by strictly training the attention of our hearts. But those gopis cherished such exceptional love for Him that they easily attained the success of the most advanced stages of meditation. Other devotees can only hope to follow in the footsteps of the Vrindavana gopis. And by the sincerest endeavors, might begin to approach the perfection that for the gopis was their natural birthright. For the most part, devotees can see Krishna only in their hearts, but the gopis serve him directly with all their senses. Indeed, they permanently hold Krishna's attention. As Uddhava told the gopis, Viyogini nam apipadhatim vo, na yogino gantam apikshamanti, yad dhyeya rupasya parasya pumso yuyam gata dhyeya padam durapa. In your mood of separation, you have traversed the path on which even great yogis cannot go. You have made the Supreme Person the object of your meditation, though other seekers can focus their attention on Him only with great travail, with great risk. Krishna scolds Satyabhama. Tasvetasti dharma karma sutapautra garakrityadishu vyagrabhyo smatatha darai patitaya seva karibhyodhika yukto bhava varo namatsara padam chodvaha bhagyo bhave samshlagyo cha yat prabho priyajanadhinatva mahatmya krit. Befitting therefore that Krishna loves them more than us. For we are obsessed with our religious duties, social obligations, children, grandchildren, homes, household affairs, and so on. We are but his maidservants, worshipping him with reverence like fallen conditioned souls. We married wives should not envy his exceptional love for the gopis. Rather, we should always glorify that love, for it proves how very subservient he becomes to his beloved devotees. Speaking on behalf of all the queens, Srimati Rukmini, contrasting their own mode of serving Krishna with that of the gopis, admits that the service of the queens is inferior because the queens consider Krishna their husband. Their exchanges with him are restricted by social rules. The queens are bound by concerns for various worldly and religious duties, whereas the gopis have no concern for anything but satisfying Krishna. Thus, the gopis serve Krishna in such indescribably exquisite sports as the rasa dance, whereas the queens can render only the conventional services a faithful wife performs for her respected husband. From the queen's standpoint, only the gopis of Vraja possess the purest type of love. Krishna accordingly responds to that unique love in unique ways. Sometimes he hides himself outside a corner of a gopi's house and attracts the gopi's attention by making curious sounds. She quickly rises from bed and steals to the door, careful not to awaken family members such as her mother-in-law. And outside she meets Krishna and pleases him with embraces and kisses. Even during the day, Krishna is sometimes busy in a grove selected for a secret meeting on the bank of the Yamuna. While arranging a soft bed from leaves and flowers, he hears the sound of falling leaves, signaling that his beloved has arrived. He turns his face towards the path outside the grove by which a gopi, on the pretext of fetching water from the Yamuna, is coming to fulfill his desires. Sometimes at dusk, several gopis become intoxicated by hearing Krishna calling them with the song of his flute. They run toward him hastily, their garments, hair, and ornaments in disarray. But when they meet him, he tries to turn back with proud, deceptive words that cast them into despair. After they helplessly beg him to change his mind, he acquiesces, giving up his pretense. And when they realize that he was only joking with them, they become filled with joy, grab hold of the end of his and pull him into a nearby secluded grove. In such ways, the gopis of Braja enjoy the freedom of worshipping Krishna as their paramour, whereas the queens of Dwaraka admit that they are limited to worshipping him according to the principles of religious household life, subject to Vedic injunctions and social customs. Therefore, the queens declare the queen should never envy the gopis, for a subordinate should never envy a superior. Maid servants in a noble household, for example, should not be jealous of the mistress they serve, rather than envy the Braja gopis. Krishna's wives in Dwaraka admire them as perfect exemplars of devotion. Krishna's love for the gopis deliberately shows to everyone the greatest feature of his transcendental personality, his voluntary submission to the control of his dearest gopis, without daring to state it openly. The queens nourish a hope to become like the gopis. The queens minimize the value of their own devotion, blaming themselves for being attached to mundane religious and social duties, although in truth, the queens are free from any material attachment. Even if the queens are attached to their religious and social obligations, that is not a fault, but a virtue that enhances their special love for Krishna. When the queens speak as Rukmini does here, they do so out of natural humility to express their admiration for the rare fortune of the gopis. This is all straight from Sri Sanatana Goswami himself. ततोन्याभिश्च देवी एतद्देवानुमोदितं सात्रा जिति परमान देहं तद् असहा विशत तद् विशत. Uddhava said, the other queens all agreed. Only Satyabhama, Satrajiti, the daughter of Satrajit, unable to tolerate those words, entered her chamber of anger. She Parikshita Vacha. Srimad Gopi Jana Pranam Natha Sakrodhamadisha Sa Samaniyata Murkha Raja Sutadrutam. Shri Parikshit said, the blessed Lord of the life of the gopis then ordered angrily, bring here at once that daughter of the foolish king. Notice Sriman, blessed. In reference to Krishna, the epithet Shriman, which becomes Sriman, means endowed with the wealth of supreme love, or else possessing all beautiful splendor. He is the Lord of the life of the gopis, headed by Sri Radha, or alternatively, they are the rulers of his life. Therefore, when Satyabhama, the daughter of Satrajit, showed displeasure at the glorification of the gopis, Krishna demanded she be brought before him for correction. Krishna angrily reminded his devotees that this wife's father had been implicated in the scandal over the Syamantaka jewel. तस्य सुतेति क्रोधेन तस्यामपि तादृक्त्वम् आवर्जयति सम्यक् त्यजति अर्पयति इत्यर्थः. He was angry at Satyabhama Devi. Shrestha vidagdha swabhimana seva chatur yato nandayitum pravritta gopala nari ratilam patamtam bhartaramatyant vidagdhatadhyam. Satyabhama, most expert in the arts of amorous love, was always ready to skillfully serve her husband in the mood of jealous pride knowing him also to be fully conversant with the skills of love and eager to enjoy with the government woman. Dasibhyas tadrishim agya tasya karnya vichakshana utthaya marjayan yangam varaya tatra sagata. Upon hearing this order from her maidservant, the intelligent Satyabhama got up, bathed, and quickly came before Krishna. Nano सा श्री कृष्णस्य परमप्रियतमा कथम तस्यं मनः प्रतिकूलं व्यवजह्रे. Objection. She is supremely beloved to Sri Krishna, Satyabhama. How did she behave in a manner contrary to Krishna's mood? Satyam. It's a fact. But this is in order to make Krishna happy. Satyabhama, Sri Krishna's very dear wife, and would never act in such a way to disturb his mind. She makes a show of petulance because she knows what gives Krishna pleasure. Being at heart a great romantic, petulance, the quality of being sulky, childishly sulky or bad-tempered. Petulance. Being at heart a great romantic, he enjoys affectionate quarrels with his beloved queens. Calming the anger of his wives is one of his favorite diversions. And moreover, he feels great satisfaction in glorifying the gopis of Raja, including Chandravali and others. He is always eager to relish the sublime taste of their love. But why does Krishna take pleasure in the ignoble sport of struggling to subdue the pride of quarrelsome women? Because he is the topmost connoisseur of conjugal reciprocation. So these dealings give him unequal joy. Krishna describes the love of the Vrajavasis. Stambhentar dhapya deham swam sita lajja bhayan vita samlakshya prabhana prokta samrambhaveshatasputam. She hid herself behind a pillar and stood there, filled with shame and fear. Krishna noticed her and, still angry, spoke to her in a clear voice. Actually, some interesting piece of information we received from Sanatana Goswami. Before she came here, Bhumi Shayanad Uthaya Angam Swagatram Marjayanti Bhumi Shayanadina Lagnam Raja Adyapasarayanti. She was lying on the ground in that chamber of anger. She got up. She cleaned her body from the dust that had come about because she was lying on the ground, on the floor. And then she came. Although Satyabhama hid herself so that Krishna could not see her, he smelled her unique fragrance and noticed other subtle signs of her presence. Satyabhama often had fits of jealousy, but now she feared that by showing her temper at an unsuitable moment, she might have gone too far. The Supreme Lord's service should never be performed haphazardly, but always with careful attention to satisfying him with just what he wants and at the time he wants it. The last sentence is Gopi Pranam. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Are Satra Jiti Kshina Chitte Mano Yatha Tvaya Kriyate Rukmani Prapta Parijatadi Hetukaha Tatha Vrajat Janeshwasman Nirbhara Pranayadapi Avare Kim Na Janasi Mam Tad Dikshana Sarinam. Supreme Lord said, O weak-minded Satrajiti, daughter of Satrajit, just as you grew angry when Rukmini obtained special favors like the Parijata flower. Now you are angry at our intense love for the people of Braja. Silly woman, don't you know that I am ruled by their desires? Displeased with Satyabhama, Krishna remembers that her father had sometimes acted foolishly. Thus he addresses her as daughter of Satrajit and calls her weak-minded and silly. He refers to himself in the plural, either because he is thinking of Sri Balaram and Rohini, who shares his feelings for the Vrajavasis, or because he is proud of himself for having the great treasure of the Vrajavasis' love. Or intense love for the people of Braja, Sri Radhika Dishu, refers to Sri Radhika and others. Krite sarva parityage Bhadram yati manyate Shapete smin Shane satyam tathaiva kriyate maya. If the people of Braja thought it good that I renounce everything, I promise you that in a moment I would do just that. If we were to take this word seriously, Krishna would not hesitate to abandon his wives, his children, and everyone else in Dwaraka if that would make the Vrajavasis happy. But we should also take into account that a solemn vow is usually made only before someone in whom one has found trust. And this means that Satyabhama also is very dear to Krishna. Sarvasya Swaddadi Dara Putrade Parityage Maya Kritepi Sati Tair Rajajanair Evam Bhadram Na Manyate Eva. If no, he's saying even if I abandon all of you, my wives, my sons and others, the residents of Braja will not consider that to be correct. If they were to consider it to be correct, I would do it in a moment. Yadi tu bhadram manyate tada asmaneva kshane tathaiva kriyate sarvam parityajyate ityartham. Etachya satyameva. This is also true. Okay, I'll stop with that. But I will put a bookmark here and mark it. This is Bhagavatamrita. One point 7.93. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, we'll close up. All right. Anshakal Kuturubhyasya Kripasinduphyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.